This week's video is another gig diary. These are the videos where I try and give you a taste of what it's like to be a professional musician working in the UK. I'll show you some gig footage along with some related stories and maybe straight into a little bit of gear nerdery, but not too much, so don't worry. Coming up in this week's video, the problem you have when introducing the band when it's a scratch band you've never met before. Chris. Some top car packing tips. The Strat's going into some tuning problems. And me realising in front of a live audience that something I practiced 10 years ago I could no longer play. Now this first gig, I really enjoyed this. It was a gig on a village green in Kent in the UK. A lovely bit of Middle England, people eating cake and drinking tea. It was very nice, and I was so keen that I took 3 guitars with me. I've done the gig before, I knew what to expect. Well, actually I did a little bit of pre-gig footage, just show my thought process of what gear I was going to take with me. So I'll show you that first. So I had a gig last night. It wasn't too late to finish, it was about a midnight finish, but I was doing all the PA, so packed all that up, got home. It's now just about 11 next morning. And I've got a gig, it's in a village face, and it's a gig I've done before. It's with Mike Drinkwater, who does my original stuff. He plays left-hand bass on it, so he really keeps me on my toes because he can kind of re-harmonise stuff on the fly as he's going along, so I have to really listen. I used to do it quite a lot, so I got quite used to it, but I haven't done it for years, so it's going to be fun. And a drummer called Chris, who I used to work with a lot. I haven't seen him for a long time, and I haven't played with him for even longer, so I'm looking forward to seeing him. Now I know what we play a bit of jazz, well as I can kind of play jazz, and some rock and roll and stuff. So I'm going to take my 335 for the more jazzy stuff, I guess, and this when we do the rock and roll, my Gretsch, and I'm going to see if I can pluck up the courage not to take my Fender, either my Telecaster or my Strat. I'm into my Strat at the moment because I've had the frets done on it. I'll show you that. Yeah, I probably could just go with the 335 and use that for the more rocky stuff, but I don't know. I'm a Strat man or a Telly man really at heart, so I don't know if I can hack it. Anyway, I shall get some footage of the gig later. Right, so there we are. My amp is hidden under there. I've got to take a wedge, and there's my 335 and my Gretsch, and oh, all right, I admit it. The Strat's going into. I've worked out the equipment in this boot cost about 5 times the amount of the car. That's how it should be. So when I turned up, I discovered it wasn't a 4-piece band as I thought it was going to be, as it has been in the past. We've done this gig a couple of times before. It was a 6-piece band. We actually had a bass player and a sax player. Now here we are, let me show you this clip. This might give you a clue as to who the bass player is.
On the bass, put your hands together. He normally plays at level 42, but he wanted to come to a real gig, so he's here tonight. Nathan King on the bass, thank you.
Now obviously he's not the bass player in level 42 because that's Mark King. He's Mark King's brother who plays guitar in level 42, and he has done for 28 years. But it turns out he's also an absolutely brilliant bass player, so that was a real bonus. And John on the sax as well, Chris on the drums, who I've known for over 20 years, who's a brilliant drummer, and of course Mike, who you've seen in lots of my other videos. And it's Ray singing, it's the Ray Rich band, it's Ray's band. And we had a very good play. So we started off, we did about half the first set instrumentally before Ray got up. So we did a few standards. Now this surprises some people, but a lot of the band hadn't met each other before. I'd never met the sax player before, and I'd only met the bass player once before. I knew the other guys, and there's various other people in the band who hadn't met before, but because we know a certain repertoire of standards, we could just play some tunes. So that's what's going on here, but let me show you the full clip of Ray introducing the band, and halfway through realising that because he hadn't met us all before, we couldn't remember all our names.
On the drums, and I've never seen him before. So tonight, he stepped in. Chris, on the drums, putting the beat in our feet, just to prove that you've never seen him before.
So as I showed you my deliberations in that previous bit of footage, because I knew there was going to be some jazz at the start of the gig, I took my 335, which is my most jazzy sounding guitar, I suppose. So this first clip is from Blue Bossa, a tune I hadn't played for absolutely ages, and somewhere in my memory banks I managed to dredge up the chords, and this is my solo. I'm basically going straight into the amp. Well, I'm going through my pedal board, but everything was switched off for most of the track, and then I just turned on my exotic EP booster, which is on about 1/4, just for a little boost for the solo. So that's all the tone here is really. It's a clean boost, so it's basically guitar straight into my car Viceroy amp. There we are, gear nerdery tick. Now this is a good example of what you do if you don't really know how to play jazz, playing over some jazz changes. I've kind of got some ideas. I'm not really a jazzer, I never would claim to be, but quite fun playing over some different chords for a change. So here we go. That was a neck pickup, just using a bit of clean boost. Now this next one we did an instrumental version of Lovely Day, and I put it onto the bridge pickup, and I think from memory I used my Keeley modified Boss Blues driver for this, just to give it a little bit of drive. So that's what this is. Here's the solo from Lovely Day. So we did half a set without Ray, then Ray got up, and I think this was the first song he sung. It's My Baby Just Cares For Me. I did a solo, and the reason I'm showing this, because I very much liked it, that John came in on the saxophone and he was repeating the lick that I finished my solo on, which I thought was very cool, so I'm going to show you that. Next one is Route 66. Now again, this is I'm showing this one because this shows what happens when a band hasn't necessarily met each other before, and there were some slight arrangements that the band do, as Mike plays with has played with Ray for a long time, and Nathan used to play with Ray a lot as well. And there's certain arrangements they do, and in this one it's Route 66 and it's in A, but all the solos are in B. So if you look, all the band one at a time are telling me that it's in B, so I thought that was quite amusing. So I'm going to show you this clip. Then we had a break and I decided to switch to my Strat. I took my Gretsch and I didn't end up using it in the end. I thought it was going to be a 3-set gig, and I thought we'd probably do a bit more of the rock and rolly stuff, but we went straight onto this sort of rock and roll blues set, so I went straight onto my Strat because that's where I really feel most comfortable. Now this tune, Ray normally plays the intro and the outro and the guitar solo, but he asked me to do it this time, so I played the intro okay, and then I did the solo, but I didn't realise that I was supposed to play the intro bit at the very end as well, so I just ended the song, so that's why everyone's looking a bit confused at the end, so that's why I'm showing you this clip.
Thank you.
Then we did Johnny Be Good, and my guitar had gone out of tune in the previous song. I hadn't realised, so I started the song and I did a little bit, and I just thought I cannot do the whole song with the guitar being that out of tune. So I wouldn't normally do this, but I decided just to stop and tune up. I knew it wasn't going to take me long. Anyway, here we go.
Hey, Johnny Be Good. That's a gong that one. Rock and roll.
And finally for this gig, I rather inappropriately did a bit of Jeff Beck style whammy action. I was playing the line the whistling line at the end of Dock of the Bay, and I decided to do some rather over the top whammy bar things, which made everyone else look at me and laugh, probably in disgust or something. Anyway, here we go. Right, on to another gig I did this week. This was a acoustic duo gig with Christabel, who you've seen before on these videos. This is a bar in Hailsham in East Sussex, which is just north of Eastbourne, which is in the south of the UK. Now this isn't a video from the mic stand for a change. I clipped it onto a wooden beam which was in front of where we were playing, so that's quite nice. We managed to get a slightly better view than normal. I'm showing this clip because I used my Quad Cortex. I used the freeze function on it with a bit of delay as well, and I did an intro for Ain't No Body. The original of this is, well, here we go, let's get nerdy. The original of this is in E flat minor, which is a pretty terrible key on the guitar, so I do it in D minor, and I drop the bottom string down to D, which makes it fit under the fingers quite well. So that's what this is, a little bit of an intro to Ain't No Body and the riff, which fits quite nicely under the fingers in this key. Now here's a solo. This is Georgia on My Mind. It's another example of me playing over some jazz changes. As I said before, I'm not really a jazzer, but yeah, it's quite a nice one. I've got kind of used to playing over this one, so I just thought I'd show you this one. And again, I'm using the Quad Cortex for a looper. I lay down the rhythm track while Christabel's singing, and then once she finishes singing, over the next section I can solo, and then she comes back in on the middle 8. So that's how that works. Then on to the third and final gig for this video. This was an 8-piece gig for a wedding, and as you can probably hear from the video, it was in a big echoey room, which is very difficult getting a good sound in one of these echoey rooms. They're these beautiful function rooms that you play in, but they weren't ever designed to have a loud band in. So I normally like to show you bits where I've played the guitar, I think, quite well, but on this one I'm going to hold my hands up and show a bit where I played it very badly. Now this is the intro to Don't Stop Believing, and there's a kind of finger tapping bit which I used to play this song quite frequently, and I practiced it when I used to do it, and I haven't played it for a long time. And this is what happens when in front of an audience you think to yourself, oh, I'm sure I can still do that thing that I could do 10 years ago. You start doing it and realise that it is no longer in the memory banks, or in the muscle memory banks anyway. But once I started, it was a bit too late to stop, and I think I've managed to pull it round a bit. It was a bit dodgy to begin with, but anyway, I'll hold my hands up and admit some dodgy playing. Here we go. Then hopefully I redeem myself. I'm going to put a bit of singing on here. I don't normally put the singing on here for a number of reasons. One, that you risk the video getting blocked if you put a cover song on here. So I'm going to show you a little bit of me singing All Right Now. This song, I've been singing and playing it for years and years, and when I was younger I always used to lose my voice singing this song because I wasn't doing it properly, but now I've kind of worked out how to do it, how to sing those higher notes without then not being able to speak for 3 weeks afterwards. And a bit of the guitar solo I'll put on here as well, just because it's one of the only guitar solos I know note for note. you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed that. I'm going to leave you with another solo from the first gig I showed you. It's Cantaloupe Island, I think this song's called. And it hasn't got too many chords, it's only got 3 chords, so it's quite a nice jazzy one to play over if you don't really know how to play jazz. So I hope you enjoy this. It was the same sort of guitar tone as the first track I played you. That's straight into the amp, but with the exotic booster kicked on. So if you like the video, please hit like, leave me a comment, hit subscribe as well. I've got new videos coming out every week, and I hope to see you next week on my next video.